What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with us once again, your hosts, Derek, Alex, and Zack. Boys, what's going on? Happy Sunday. I'm a little hungover myself due to a Red Wings shutout loss. How you boys doing? Alex, welcome back. We haven't seen you in a while. Why don't you go first, buddy? What's going on?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be back. Haven't been on in, I think, probably like a month. Just been busy with work and a bunch of different things. But I'm happy to be back on with the boys and go over a lot of things. The Wings have been pretty disappointing lately, especially their goaltending. So definitely have a lot to get into. But yeah, I'm excited to be back. I don't think I've ever been on with Derek either, so this is a first.
You have not. How's it feel, Derek, to be with Alex?
Nice little test around here, buddy. Let's see how we do. Well, that's kind of cool. Good to see you on, buddy.
You too, man.
Yeah, you're not kidding. We just had a steamroll of a week here. I mean, there is one win in there, but, the other two games weren't exactly to par for the Red Wings. What are we going to do about it? I mean, let's just rip up the Band-Aid, I guess, and get on with it.
I'm surprised you didn't even want to talk about your weekend or anything, but if you want to go deep into it, let's just go ahead and go right deep into it, boys.
No one needs to know about me taking care of high schoolers.
All right, so what do we got today? So let's see here. Let's start off with around the league news. We'll go into some Red Wings news, obviously the main topics, and then the game notes. But before we do that, we wanted to say thank y'all for returning. If you are new, but also returning, if you haven't already, make sure you're hitting that subscribe button and you're hitting the thumbs up button. Turns the octopus's frown upside down. Right, Derek? Let's show it for the fans. There we go. Perfect. All right, so real quick, going into the around the league news, really not a whole lot. I must have missed a bunch or there wasn't that much going on this week other than a bunch of warning hits, missed calls by the league, the refs, and Department of Player Safety. Y'all saw that in the last episode, but if you haven't, go ahead and check that out. That showcases the inconsistency with George Parros and the NHL Department of Player Safety. Good times, right? Not really. Players are getting injured and nothing is being done about it. So, Forbes has released the top 10 most valuable franchises in the NHL, which is funny because none of them rank in the top 25 in the whole entire world. And the next to the highest paid in the NHL, Toronto came in at the highest, and they're $2 billion, I believe, behind the next franchise, which would be the Chicago Bulls. How does that make you guys feel, honestly?
So, I mean, sounds like Gary Bettman has some explaining to do out here. I mean, we took on all these ads for gambling and whatnot. I mean, we should have a lot more money to be able to expand this a little bit more now, but it doesn't seem to be happening.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do we need term limits on commissioners?
I think so.
There are things that are happening in the league that I'm very happy with, and obviously things I'm not happy with. Like, for example, player safety I think is out of hand right now. I feel like every time I go on Instagram or X or anything, every week it's like a new injury, like some really, really bad injuries. But on the other hand, like watching the games, the commercials that they're doing now talking about how, the new golden era of hockey is here. I think they're great commercials. They have Johnny Hockey. Like, is Johnny fun at weddings and like that kind of stuff? I think is awesome. And I think the marketing is better than it has been.
Yeah.
So yeah. And does Batman have anything to do with that? Probably not, but I don't know. There are things that I'm happy with, things I'm obviously not happy with. And I think that probably will never change. But yeah, I don't know. I think we could use some term limits with commissioners, and that goes for every league, honestly.
Yeah, no, and I would agree with you on that 100%. I think 30 years is a little bit much for one person to be in charge of whole entire league, but then again, he pretty much just is a super glorified lawyer for the whole entire league and the owners of every team in the NHL, right? And so I kind of feel bad for him in a sense because he does get the backlash for everything that happens in the league, and he has to deal with it. However, yeah, there's been some good things. Like you said, the commercials, they've been doing a little bit better with the marketing. However, you've had 30 years to maintain being a powerhouse league in North America. And within those 30 years, the MLS is now passing you. We've talked about that before, and I think I brought that up on the last episode too. So, shocked, not really shocked at the same time. So, it is what it is. But let's go ahead and move on. Bruce Boudreau, there it is named head coach for the Canada Spengler Cup team. Jesus, boys, yeah, it's early. It's 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, so bear with me here.
We really hungover, actually, from that win.
Hey, man, that shutout loss really did a number on me. I had nightmares in my sleep of Alex Lyon tweaking whatever it is that he tweaked, and we'll go into depth about that. But in other news, Tomas Tatar, Tomas Tater Tots, as I like to call him, traded to the Seattle Kraken for a 5th-round pick. Honestly, quite surprised that Colorado was able to even get anything out of him. I figured with a little bit of a cap dump, trading him away, I'm assuming that's probably part of the reason why they did that too, is that they didn't want the cap on their roster. I'm surprised Seattle didn't get him for free. You guys kind of agree with me on that, or no?
You're not losing too much on that.
What do you think about that, though, Alex? You missing Tomas Tater Tot? You wish he was a Red Wing, or you think this was a good trade?
I don't know. We have a lot of hockey to watch, I'll put it that way. It'll be interesting to see what that looks like for Colorado and if that was a good decision to make.
Well, let's go ahead and kick it off with some Red Wings news, shall we? And correct me if I'm wrong, boys, and someone who is watching can correct me too as well. Just go ahead and leave it down in the comments. But Perron did or did not have an appeal hearing. I believe it was on Friday. Lalonde did come out saying he is counting on him to miss the next 2. He had already missed 3. So I'm kind of confused. Does that mean that they have hopes that he's going to at least only going to miss 5 games and he can return for that 6th that he was supposed to hit? Or do you guys exactly know? Because I really don't. I don't know the context behind that any more than what I just said.
Trying to find something to help you out on this right now, but there really has not been any updates.
That could have been just a mishap on Lalonde's part then, honestly. And so I am already assuming that he's just going to miss out the rest of the term, right? Just fill in the whole 6 games. I did hear that they will try to see if they can get some money back for him because he was missing out on $150,000, which is a lot, especially for NHL standards for players. He's got 3 kids at home too and a wife, so he's got to pay the bills, guys. Come on.
Man, come on.
All right, so other than that, since that's pretty much it on the Perron news, I do want to actually let's skip over that. So let's go into what Alex was saying. Yes, Alex, the Wings have lost 5 out of the last 6 games played, and I do believe the one win that they got was with Patrick Kane, and the rest were losses with Patrick Kane. Maybe just one without Patrick Kane right before he came back. But yeah, I don't know what it is with the Wings. Obviously, they're still missing Larkin, Perron. Compher missed 3 games. Clem Costin missed 3 games. It's been rough for the boys, right? But just like Derek put in here, Joe Veleno is really working his 1-year deal that he signed, a league minimum contract 1-year deal, and he is absolutely killing it for the Detroit Red Wings. And we keep on going on and off about this on every episode, right? But in 30 games, he's got 7 goals, 5 assists with 12 points. He's becoming the 3rd-line center that we really truly needed. And he's doing it a little bit better than I would say, and people are going to hurt me, I believe, in the comments or on social media for saying this. He's doing better than Andrew Kopp, in my opinion. Andrew Kopp really hasn't done too much other than PK and being defensive on the ice. I would have liked to see more production out of him. Let's go back into the Red Wings news. ASP Axel Sandin Pellikka was recognized as one of 6 Swedish Hockey League rookies aiming for Rookie of the Year. He currently has broken the record, I believe, for most goals scored by a U19 player. His birthday is not until March. If he continues this, what does this mean? Do you guys project him to be making the jump to the Detroit Red Wings next season? Or do you think there's still enough room for him to grow and flourish into what Matt would call an Erik Karlsson type of player?
I mean, you took the words out of my mouth right there. I was literally going to reference him to being the next Erik Karlsson type player. I mean, I think he's at 9 goals right now over in the Swedish Hockey League.
Yes.
Pretty insane. I think he can put like 3 goals up in 6 games in international juniors. I mean, I kind of want him on the team. I'm not going to lie, but really, I guess it comes down to, do we have the time frame to let him keep developing? Or do we think he's at that point where we could bring him over now and he's going to do the same thing he's doing out there on that ice over here on the NHL ice?
What do you think, Alex? Do you think that he can make the jump next season as a 19-year-old?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's like when people say, too close to call. I think it comes down to this: how different is the ice between those leagues and the NHL? Is he, is it going to be a confidence thing if he does make that jump, where he's like, okay, I'm playing on, National Hockey League ice now. This is different, and he starts playing differently, or is that what he needs to play even better than how he's playing right now? I personally would love to see him on the team, and make some changes of what we're doing right now. So I mean, that's where I stand on it.
Yeah, and you brought up, the differences between 2 leagues, and to be honest, there's a wide gap between the Swedish Hockey League and the NHL. I was talking to my buddy Jeff while playing NHL 24. Yeah, go figure. Just kind of talking about, and I was listening to 32 Thoughts with Elliot Friedman, and they talked about the issue on hand with the hitting and how some of these players coming over from European leagues, coming and making the jump to North America, they truly don't understand. And this isn't an exact quote for quote. These are kind of my words and kind of filling in the gaps. They aren't prepared for the physical, the physicality in the NHL or in just North America in general, right? Where you have a larger sheet of ice in European leagues, mainly speaking about the Swedish Hockey League, where it's more defensive minded because you have more ice surface that you have to cover. And so making that jump is going to be difficult. We look at players like Marco Kasper, Simon Edvinsson, Jonathan Berggren, Albert Johansson, and then you can even say Antti Tuomista, where these players haven't made the jump to the Red Wings yet, solely because they haven't adjusted to the North American game yet, where yes, we have seen quite a few of these names that I named off get some game action, but I do really think that was partially due to depth issues at the time. We wanted to show them as well what it was like to play in the NHL. So that is purely why I think that some of these players got to play with the Detroit Red Wings. And so that is another reason why I think that some of them are still with Grand Rapids Griffins, is because they need to adjust to this North American style game before making the jump to the NHL. Personally, I don't think having ASP on the team next season really makes that much sense, unless you think he can start out quarterbacking the power play 2 unit and get third pairing minutes. I really don't see him being a top 4 pairing guy right away. I can see him in a bottom pairing role, minimal minutes, but you allow him to quarterback the power play. You're not giving him PK time. While he is scoring in the SHL, that's great. And that is something that we like to see, right? We want our players to score a lot of goals. But what's his defensive game going to look like coming over to North America? Is that going to translate well enough for the Detroit Red Wings when we're already kind of struggling defensively and with our goaltending? It's hard to say, right?
I mean,
and so
that would be more conditioned with that bigger ice. So
100%, yes, a lot more skating, that's for sure. So anything is possible, all it takes really is just one really good offseason. He couldn't make the jump, but for me right now, based on the way it's looking, and we have players like Simon Edvinsson not making the team, because we have so many players on a roster right now, I don't see enough room for an Axel Sandin Pellikka next year. Personal opinion. But let's go ahead and talk about another Red Wings prospect that was drafted, actually, which would be Trey Augustine, who did make Team USA World Junior Championship roster. And in that time, and we did speak on that last episode a little bit, Augustine, I believe he's still 17 games played. I could be wrong. It might be 18 now, but Derek put here that Augustine still rides a .297 goals against average with a .916 save percentage. Jesus, Murphy. With a record of 11 wins, 3 losses, 2 overtime losses, 1 shutout for MSU and the NCAA. So good on him. Matt and I talked about it last episode. We really did think that he was going to be the starter for Team USA, and it looks like that's what it's going to be. And so hopefully he continues writing that out. So good luck to him. It's going to be fun watching him. In other news, Zack, Aston Reese, berggren were recalled to the Grand Rapids Griffins, which is really sad because berggren had 3 points in the 3 games he played, where he posted 2 goals, 1 assist. Derek, do you want to say this little mock trade that you made, or no? Do you kind of want to save that to yourself?
Do I want to put it out there to think it's going to happen? Because I've heard rumors. I've heard only little rumors about this, like in 2 places. So, I have no idea if it's going to happen. But I feel like it's something that the Red Wings might need.
So why don't you go ahead and... I was going to say, why don't you go ahead and go in depth about it, but I'll put it out there, and then you just kind of throw the context behind it. Derek says he's going to the Montreal Canadiens, the Habs, and we are taking Matheson and a 2nd round pick. Okay? So provide the context behind that, please.
Oh, well, besides the fact that the Canadiens are struggling as all heck this year, as per usual, and could use a forwards like Bergeron, they have a nice defense.
When did we get Patrice Bergeron? Close enough.
Whoops. Johnny Burger, sorry. I think of that one a little bit twisted there. But Matheson doing really great this year, even though he's on a struggling team. And, a 2nd round pick helps us out in the future a little bit, gives us some options to keep going forward. It's nothing crazy, but, something to help us out this year, too, as long as next year in future. I don't know. There wasn't too much to go off of that trade, I'm not going to lie. I was just kind of grasping at what the Red Wings might need right now.
So a left-handed defenseman who currently has 20 points in 30 games played. He's a -10 on a bad Montreal team. Alex, is this someone that you would trade for, another left-handed defenseman, when we have a lot already? Not trying to say Derek's trade makes no sense, but do you think that there is room for the Red Wings to add another defensive player on this roster by giving up someone like a Jonathan Berggren?
I don't know. I'm on team let Berggren cook. At the end of the day, this team needs as much help as we can get defensively. I think that Yzerman and Lalonde need to do what they can to add someone to this roster who's going to be able to put up some more assists, but also keep the puck out of our ice. And the other thing too is our PK needs help. Our PK needs help, and the power play needs help too. I feel like whenever we're on a power play, it's like pulling teeth to get these guys to shoot at the net. And playing a lot of teams like Philly, for example, they're just so fast, and I feel like that just literally being fast on the ice, and I feel like we're not up to that level right now. To be able to chase down the puck, especially on our ice. So I think that, this team needs as much help defensively as possible. And, if that's what it takes, then let's do it.
Yeah, you never know. This exactly could be the player that could help us out in a lot of different ways, right? And the power play and the PK really haven't been looking that good. Also, going back to what I said earlier, no Larkin, no Comfort for a while, no Clint Costin for a while, no David Perron for a while. That's 4 key players that we really have been missing for the last 3+ games, right? And so that's a lot of depth. And we talked about a lot this season on how deep the Red Wings are. And there's a reason why berggren hasn't been called up, right? And so I'm kind of in the same spot as you are, Alex. I think you have to let berggren keep cooking, especially on a Grand Rapids Griffins team that has not been playing well lately. Granted, they have been getting a couple of wins as of late. They've been playing really good defensively, and the goaltending has been showing up a little bit, somewhat, right, as Derek was saying. So with his little hand there. But I'm on a team, let him cook too. I think you got to let berggren keep doing what he's doing. But obviously, if there's a trade that comes in that blows your mind and that player has term on it, I'm all for it. But I'm not trading Jonathan berggren for a player that you're only keeping for a quarter of the season that's left in hopes that you're making the playoffs if you're still in a playoff spot. So that's my take on it. Those are my thoughts, not yours. Take it as you will. Let us know down in the comments what you think about Jonathan berggren, if he should be traded or if he should not. So, in other news with the Griffins, they do sign Michael Hutchinson to a 1-year deal for the remainder of the season, which means more than likely the Red Wings will stick with 3 goalies for the remainder of the season, which kind of sucks now because Lyon ended up getting injured. And so I was going to save this for when we got done talking about the Flyers game, but let's just go into it, boys. So what does it mean if this team is missing Lyon for an extended period of time and all you have now is Husso and Reimer?
Well, sounds like we're going to get into the situation we were in last year when we were relying on Husso way too much. And the problem with this year, Husso has not put up the stats that he did last year at the beginning of the season. So it's not looking good if that's what we have to do.
Yeah, it's honestly a travesty. I do think Lyon. I don't think he's been playing that great lately, but I do think he's our best goaltender. I don't know what's going on with Husso. I mean, he's got a brand new baby. Like I think Zack, you said it. He's probably not getting as much sleep. It's difficult because I feel like they don't even play Reimer that often.
Nope.
Reimer hasn't been playing good either. So, now we're at this two goaltender tandem, with Husso and Reimer, and I just don't think they're that good. I think that all of our efforts right now should be on goaltending. Goaltending first and defense second. But yeah, this is gonna be the reason, if we don't make the playoffs. This is why.
I would agree with you on that. I've kind of been on that train for a while, and I even said on the last episode, I don't believe that Husso is the guy. And I didn't mean that and I think a lot of people kind of got mad at me about that. I'm not saying that I think we should just get rid of Husso. I just don't think that he is the starter that we need currently. I think he could be a phenomenal backup for us, but the baby thing, the way he ended last season, granted he was kind of injured, so it doesn't help, and we rode him a little bit too much. But like you said, Alex, now we're going into the situation where Lyon is hurt, and now we're going to have to ride on Husso. Or it was you, Derek. Someone said it, so my apologies. We're going to have to ride Husso like we did last season, right? Because Reimer has not played. He's played 1 game. I think he started in 1 game since the Swedish games, which was what seems like over a month and a half ago now.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I think one could argue that this offense doesn't have, with our healthy offense doesn't have an issue scoring goals. I think that our offense, you could definitely call a playoff offense. I mean, the stat last week was we're the 2nd highest goal scoring team in the league.
Yeah.
I don't know if that still stands, but
I highly doubt that.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate because, the goaltending, number 1, and the defense, number 2, is what's holding us back because, we definitely have a playoff offense. So it's super disappointing, especially for Wings fans. It's just like, can we just catch a break? you know?
Yeah, the Red Wings currently are not the second highest scoring team in the league anymore, or according to goal differential, it looks like that we are now about fifth, seventh. Our goal differential now is plus 12. Boston leads with plus 21. So we've kind of fallen off that ship a little bit, and that's what happens when you lose 5 out of your last 6 games, right? Is that your goal differential goes down and then you're not considered that anymore. But You're right, Alex. And they mentioned this last night in the game that the Red Wings win all their games when they score 4+ goals in every game, right? So the goal scoring is not an issue. And it's funny bringing that up because last season, in Lalonde's first season as the Detroit Red Wings head coach, we kept on saying, this is going to be a team that's going to be like the Carolina Hurricanes, where it's just all defense, no offense. And then you go out and get guys like Daniel Sprong, Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat, JT Comfort. Now all of a sudden we're scoring all these goals. Well, like I mentioned on the last episode or the episode before, I keep on forgetting when I talk about this stuff, but the Red Wings have allowed like 16 or 17 now, I haven't counted since I said this, 3+ goal games against themselves. Yeah, the goaltending first needs to be solved, and then it goes into the defense. It's not the goal scoring, it's the defending and it's the goaltending, which pretty much...
And that's my point too, because we sign guys like DeBrincat and Patrick Kane and Comfort and Sprong and, and then we sign Dan Petrie.
Yeah.
I swear to God, you guys, the only reason that we signed Petrie was because his dad played on the Tigers. I mean, come on.
I feel like we have to reiterate that almost every episode at this point.
Okay. Going back to that scenario, and you can continue on with this, Alex, when I'm done. Going back to that scenario, we traded Gustav Lindstrom to get Petrie because Petrie didn't want to be in Montreal. And yes, we probably partially did it because of his dad, but also... To me, Petrie is an obvious upgrade compared to Gustav Lindstrom, who was waived by the Montreal Canadiens at one point during the season already. And so continue on. I apologize, but I would agree with you on that.
No, you're good. It's just so
it's frustrating.
We have the offense, and I'm not saying that we should not have gotten those guys because look at our offense. But now it comes to the point in the season where it's like, okay, we can score goals, but we're allowing more in. So, it's like, where do we go from here? I feel like the team is at a pretty heavy crossroads right now. Our really, our top guys are injured right now. We have a pretty unhealthy team. And, going into Monday against Anaheim is, normally I'd say easy dub. The Ducks are dust, but I don't know.
We've seen the Rings go against dust teams too before, and they still end up losing. We went up against a Flyers goaltender who I'd never even heard before up until we played them, and he shut us out.
Yep.
At this point, it's the same thing that happened to us last year and all the years prior. Sometimes we go really hard against the really good teams, and then we just don't show up for the bottom tier teams in the NHL. Unless you're Chicago Blackhawks. Still happy about that win. Suck it, Dard. Sorry, Alex. Continue.
No, you're good, brother. But yeah, it's just I don't know. It's I can't reiterate enough how disappointing it is. It's terrible.
It is. It really is. And so I guess I'll come out with my own mock trade, right? And I was telling this to the boys earlier that one candidate that I really would like to see, it's not on defense. And my issue is with the defense is that I'm okay with upgrading the defense, but not by trading to get more defensive players, especially when we have someone like Simon Edvinsson who can't even crack the lineup. When we talked about how he had 12 points in 11 games with the Grand Rapids Griffins on that episode that we talked about 2 episodes ago. So I want to make a mock trade real quick. I want to trade for John Gibson. Speaking of Anaheim Ducks, Alex, so thank you for bringing that up. I really do appreciate it. And why do I want to trade for John Gibson? Well, he still has term, had a pretty decent cap hit, and he's been with a really bad Anaheim Ducks team since the 18-19 season. And his last good season was basically around there, where it was 2017 and 18, where he had well over a 900 save percentage and a under 2.5 goals against average. I don't have the exact numbers pulled up right now, but I can definitely pull them up for you guys while I spit talk. But how would you guys feel about getting a John Gibson? We have a little bit of chemistry there and a little bit of, what's the word I want to use? Familiarity with Pat Verbeek. You know, he used to be part of the Detroit Red Wings. He just is now starting his first season with the Anaheim Ducks, drafting a Leo Carlsson, a Swedish player. Is Jonathan Berggren in the works for a John Gibson? Does Pat Verbeek want a Jonathan Berggren to play with another Swedish player like Leo Carlsson on his wing?
I wouldn't hate it.
For me.
Well, first off, how old is Gibson at this point?
30.
30? Okay, not bad. I can accept that for right now. At least
For a
not
goaltender
34.
standard, that really isn't that old. We've seen goaltenders go and play until they are in their 40s, early 40s.
I mean,
so
we have Lyon in there right now at 30, and he's our best goalie by point standard, so...
yeah. And then we have Reimer, who's like 35, 36 years old. So how would you feel about trading a Jonathan Berggren for a John Gibson? Obviously, as a Red Wings fan base, you probably have to throw in a little bit more. But what would you think as a starting piece? Are you comfortable with trading a Jonathan Berggren to upgrade the goaltending situation? Even though I just said that I don't want to really trade Jonathan Berggren. I know, I'm going back.
You gotta throw it out into existence, see what happens. But at this point...
Go ahead, Derek, sorry.
No, you're good. I talked really loud. But, I mean, if it's going to be a 1-for-1, yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. I'm down. You know what? All the people that were yelling at you, Zach, they're wrong. It's a 1-for-1 trade on that one.
But, yeah, no, I would definitely do a 1-for-1, considering that he has 3 years left and his cap hit is, I think it's around $6 million. Maybe it's a little bit under. I'm waiting for it to pull up. My internet really sucks today. I don't know what's going on. Oh, here we go. Okay. John Gibson, $6.4 million, 3 more years after this season. By the time his contract is done, he'll probably be 34 years old. And I'll pull up his stats in the meantime. So how would you feel about actually moving on from a Jonathan Berggren, though? Alex, you say that you want him to cook. Would you trade? In the same token, you're saying that you want to upgrade the goaltending.
100%. So, yeah, we have the offense. We have the forwards without him, I think. So, you know, giving that up, giving him up for a John Gibson, what's his current save percentage?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe it's still over a 900. My internet is really slow, guys, so bear with me.
Here, let me just pull up my fantasy team real quick because I have him as my goalie.
Oh, there you go. All right.
Season.
All right. His current save percentage is 905. I'm sorry, 912. No, so this season 905, career 912. So, yeah, absolutely. I would be thrilled with that trade. If we got a one-on-one for that,
I mean, that 5 wins in 20 games kind of hurts to look at, but, you know, can't really blame it all on him.
Keep in mind that this is an Anaheim Ducks team who has been at the bottom for quite some time now, and let's also remember that let's not think about it as a 1-for-1. I think we all would say that, yes, a 1-for-1 we would take it. Ducks fans would easily say no. But let's speak about it in terms of, would you include Jonathan Berggren in a package to acquire a John Gibson, yes or no? And
depends. Why? It depends on who else is in the package.
Well, Ducks fans seem to think that a first needs to be included. I'll tell you that based on what I heard on Cap Friendly. And so would you include a 2024 or a 2025 first round pick with Jonathan Berggren to acquire 3 more years of John Gibson and potentially keep him longer after that?
Is John Gibson that good, though?
Personally,
like Derek was saying, 5 wins in 20 games for a first rounder and Berggren. I don't know. That's
personally tough. I would, like I said, he's really not that far removed from having good seasons, right? Back in 2018-19 was his last good season. I said 27-18. You can count that one too. But 2018-19, in 58 games played, he had a 284 save percentage, or 284 goals against average, and a 917 save percentage. And the season before that, he started in 60 games with a 243 goals against and a 926 save percentage. And he's had playoff experiences where in 2016-17, he started in 16 games in the playoffs, and he had a 918 save percentage and a 2.59 goals against average. To me, personally, this is a player that needs to get himself out of an organization that is in the rebuilding stage and go to a contending team, because goaltenders are that strange, right? Where you don't know where you're going to get out of them year after year. And so that's why I wouldn't include in first. I think Jonathan Berggren is the centerpiece in that trade for a Pat Verbeek to get a John Gibson. Me personally, I think John Gibson still could be a legitimate Vezina candidate goaltender in the NHL if you just gave him a good team in front of him. But granted, we keep talking about the defense too. So is John Gibson really going to move the needle that much for us? Personally, I think he could steal us some games. One thing that the Red Wings have issues with, amongst all three goaltenders, is high danger shooting chances. We always let him in. Every single time. I don't know what it is. Husso's been looking better these last couple games. I'm not going to lie. But I still think Husso would be better served as a backup, and you still have him for one more year. And so if you can have a tandem of John Gibson and Ville Husso, and then the next season after that, you finally possibly can pull up Sebastian Cossa. Sebastian Cossa learns under John Gibson. I think it's a win for the Red Wings. I would give up a Jonathan Berggren. Maybe not a first. Maybe another prospect and another pick for a John Gibson. I would do it. Would you guys do that in this scenario? Based on the numbers I just told you guys.
Anything to help the playoff push right now, honestly. And the fact, You're right, 3 more years of having a goalie like that, and hopefully at that time we'll have one of our prospects able to come up and learn after that, because one more year with each of our goalies anyways. Reimer's done it for this season anyways, so no offense to Reimer, but that's just what it is. If you have a 1-year deal and you're not the backup or the start, well, you might be the backup now, but as of yesterday, before the game started, you weren't the backup. So, I mean, I'd do it. I'd go for it. Try it out. Dip my finger in the sauce there. I want some.
Yes or no, Alex?
You know, I'm as we discuss this, I'm doing a poll on Twitter right now for this, because I'm interested to hear what people have to say. I think it's going to be difficult to give away that first round pick and Berggren for a John Gibson. You know, if this was like a Shesterkin or, you know, Sorokin or something, I would say absolutely. You know, I think John Gibson is a fairly big name when it comes to goaltending in the NHL. So at the end of the day, you know, if we're going to go all in for this playoff push, I'd say let's do it. I think this is the year. I think if we're going to do it, we got to put all of our chips in. You know, struggling lately mainly because we've been sick and because of our goaltending. If we're going to make this playoff push, I'd say, you know, if this mock trade actually happened, or if this trade actually happened, I'd be all for it. And then call up Edvinsson too.
Yeah, and the phrase that you used, all in, I mean, at this point, trading for, to me, I still feel like John Gibson is an elite goaltender. It's just very unfortunate that he's just with a Ducks team. Like Derek said, 5 wins in the 20 starts, and he's got a 289 goals against and a 905 save percentage. That's better than what Husso's doing, technically. Maybe not in the win category, but it's also doing better than Reimer.
It flipped around there in those categories for Husso. Don't know that one,
but in total, he's played 451 games in the NHL. Still a serviceable goaltender. In my opinion, I think he could still be a Vezina candidate goaltender, especially for a Detroit Red Wings team where if you have to go all in and if you have to put in a Jonathan Berggren and a first, honestly, I'm doing it, especially if that first is the 2024 Boston first pick. And so I'm doing that. Boston's probably going to have a high pick anyways. The Ducks can do whatever they want with it. They get a Jonathan Berggren who can play on the wing with a Leo Carlson. I think it's a done deal personally. But if you guys disagree, please go ahead. Leave it in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys think about that. And if you guys want, go ahead and see if you can find my mock trade in cap-friendly armchair GM mode. Plenty of Wings fans in there saying that's way too much for John Gibson. And then a lot of Ducks fans saying it's the quite opposite. So everyone always likes to overvalue their players. It is what it is. It's just part of being a hockey fan, right? And so with that, Derek, I kind of want you to take over this part only because you did fill in majority of this, but I can obviously fill in some spots. But you put in a lot of notes here about the Grand Rapids Griffins, and we never really get to talk about them. Besides this episode, I feel like we've talked about them a decent amount, actually. So why don't you go ahead and just talk about what you put in here, because you can make the most sense out of it. I probably can't as well as you can.
I got you, buddy. I'll give a little breakdown of what we had going on with the Grand Rapids Griffins in the last week here. So this is since our last recording, actually on Sunday last week. So we're going to get to cover their last game that they played there. So in the last week, the Grand Rapids Griffins are 1-2 right now. 1 win, 2 losses. Got an elephant with Toronto Marlies, a 1-3 last Sunday. They lost to the Texas Stars 0-2 Wednesday, and they won against the Stars again on Friday 4-2. We have LS. Oh my God, you got to help me with that name, Zach. L'Esperance?
I think it's just L'Esperance.
L'Esperance?
I think the L might be silent. The L might be silent. I could be wrong, but just say Esperance for now.
We're gonna go with Esperance with a lone goal last Sunday during DuCont and Bliss's debut, so good on him. Nothing crazy there, obviously. It was a loss, so. But the next game, a 0-2 loss to the Stars. No goal scorers, pretty bland game there. But the Friday 4-2 win at home, got beautiful goal scorers there. Spezza, Mazer, Tuomisto, and Bergeron all scored Friday on the win. Tuomisto's first goal.
You're so funny. I love you so much, Derek.
I keep saying it's Bergeron. Goddamn, Johnny Burgers, okay? I'll just keep saying burgers because I keep messing it up.
Go on, keep cooking. You're good. Sorry. Keep cooking.
And then we had Tuomisto's first goal. It ended up being the game winner, which is really good for him. And Koza stopped 24-26 shots, putting him finally above a 900 save percentage. So that's good looks on Koza finally getting up where we want to kind of see him. I mean, obviously, he still has some more work to do there, but we're getting somewhere with our goalies that we were hoping for.
And I'm sorry to cut you off, Derek, and you can continue after this, but that kind of goes back to, you look at our defense, you have Simon Evanson, Albert Johansson, and a couple other European players like Antti Tuomisto, right? And so it comes back to that, where these European players aren't exactly molded to play the North American style game, so they're still learning as they're going along, right? And so that could be why Kosa's kind of having a not great stat sheet currently. I personally, every time I see Kosa highlights and everything and him being in net, I think Kosa looks really good. So it could come down to 2 things, and it could be both. New coaching, 3 really young players, and a lot of European players. So kind of giving Kosa the benefit of the doubt, but I could be wrong. For those of you that are able to watch the Grand Rapids Griffins, I actually want to buy the AHL TV package, so I might do that if you guys want to share that. So
that'd be a good idea.
We'll follow up with that, but continue, Derek. My bad.
Oh, you're all good, buddy. That was basically all the coverage for those games because we didn't want to hear too much on the loss where we got 0 goals anyways. But over the course of a 23-game season so far, I believe it's been 23 games, Taro Hirose, Jesus Christ, my mouth is having a seizure this morning. I wish it was Timo Meier. That'd be awesome if he was coming up.
No, he's doing bad too. We don't want Timo Meier on our team. He's doing bad. I got him in fantasy.
He's been playing like shit lately. So
yeah, yes, he has.
We'll hold on that.
Taro Hirose, Derek.
Thank you, Zach. 6 goals, 20 points in 21 games. Johnny Burgers, 6 goals, 16 points in 17 games. Obviously, quite a few less games. We stole him for a while. He is cooking. And that's reasons why we got to talk about those trades. We never know. And then we got Simon Edmondson and ran underneath with the same amount of goals, 6 goals, same amount of points, 16, but 23 games. So that's okay to hear too, since obviously he is a defenseman. So pretty goddamn good stats still going on there. And then we'll jump over to our top 2 goaltenders, since the third goalie has only played 1 game. So we're just going to ignore that and covered that like I think the last time we talked about the Grand Rapids Griffins. So we got Kosa sitting at a 2.93 goals against, a .904 and a 4.5-2 record. And Hutchinson, who just signed his new deal, sitting at a 2.98, a .895 and a 5.7-1 record right now. So not the greatest of all stats, but like Zack said, we have a lot of excuses that we're all going to use right now to cover up why it's not looking as pretty as it should.
They're not, I mean, you can call them excuses all you want, and they kind of are, but I mean, I think that they're relevant excuses, right? I mean, the Grand Rapids Griffins are a very young team, and all European players that have never played North American style game where it's really rough, rowdy out there, you know? And so, like I said, Elliot Freeman, 32 Thoughts, they kind of talked about it. Players aren't really knowing how to take hits as well and kind of getting injured, and so I'm going on a rant. Continue, though. But yeah, I think Kosa's looking good. And they signed Hutch for a reason. So
I mean, that's the breakdown of what I had. I just wanted to get a little coverage out there for you guys. That's way you know when we talk about the Grand Rapids Griffins and all these prospects and all these players coming up and down, at least you know what team they're coming from and what they're doing.
And so just to kind of piggyback off of that, we're going to go and talk about one other prospect, since we already talked about Axel Sandin Pellica and Trey Augustine. We kind of bounced around a lot in this episode. Like I said, we do apologize for that. Try to be a little more organized next time. Maybe not. Who knows? We know y'all enjoy the chaos here. So, yeah. Nate Danielson actually has been doing really well, and we talked about that last episode too. He has... I wonder if this updated. Nate Danielson, no. So still in 24 games, he's got 11 goals, 14 assists, and 25 points. And so he missed quite a little bit, you know, being with the Red Wings so late into the season that he actually missed quite a few games with his team, the Brandon Wheat Kings. And so we're just going to have to give him some time. So outside of that, I think we can finally move on, Alex. Thursday nights, this past Wednesday, the Red Wings played the Carolina Hurricanes. I actually went to that game. Unfortunately, very, very boring hockey. The Red Wings did lose 2-1. Husso was the starter in net. Still no Larkin. Still no Comfort. Still no Perron. Still no Klim Kostin. So going into the game, the Canes did get the first goal after a power play opportunity, and the boys were gassed at that point. Wallman did leave Rasmussen kind of high and dry to watch the backdoor player standing in front of the nets. Rasmussen was, thus leading to a goal that was backdoor by Jack Drury. Rasmussen gets it back, though, to tie it in the second with a snipe top shelf. He's back, baby. He's been killing it lately. How do we feel about Michael Rasmussen? Do you guys think that he's finally coming back to game shape, much like he was last season before his injury? Or do you think that this is just going to be another roller coaster situation where he has his highs and he has his lows?
I mean, he's definitely he can definitely be an inconsistent player. With what he's doing lately, though, I mean, I like what he's doing. I've always loved Rasmussen, so. Yeah, I mean, I think he's a solid addition to the team, and I love what he's doing, especially during special teams and things like that.
Yeah, he's a real importance on the special teams, especially the PK, right? He does a really sound defensive game, and the offense is just an added part to it, right? And so this is someone 3 years ago, like I said in the last episode, we probably never figured that he would get anywhere near 30 to 40 points in the NHL because he was drafted by Holland and company. So, Derek, what do you think about Michael Rasmussen? Is he finally back, or is this just a up and down roller coaster situation that we're in the works for?
I'm just going to speak highly and say he's back. I'm not even going to jinx the fact that it's an up and down roller coaster. He's doing so well. He's doing better than I expected him to do, like, honestly, ever. Like you said, these are some of the players that we really didn't have much hopes for, but they were hopefully going to turn out into something kind of useful down the road. And if Rasmussen wants to keep playing like this and with this terrifying stare that he breaks into your soul every time he does it, I will keep that man going on a small, like, bring back the old term deals, long years for low amounts. Let's keep that going again. I'll sign him up for another one.
I love Michael Rasmussen. I do think that this could be kind of a roller coaster situation, but only because of the players that we're missing out on, right? And so he had the chance to showcase that he has more in the tank than what he's provided so far this season, right? And so I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt for the first period of the season, right? The first 25, 30 games, whatever you want to call it, right? Where he came back being injured last season. He probably missed some time in the summer. And so gotta do the same thing for him as we did with Andrew Kopp, right? Giving him that benefit of the doubt that you're coming back from an injury. That's got to be tough. Just get back into game shape. And so, yeah, I think with the fact that he was able to jump up in the lineup due to all the players being out, I think that plays a role into it. I just hope that I'm wrong. I love Michael Rasmussen. His eyes scare the hell out of me. I'm sure it does for a lot of players that he goes up against, but I hope nothing for the best because I want my Red Wings to be good, right? And so do you, the viewers, the fans. So let's continue on with the game. After that snipe by Michael Rasmussen, Jordan Staal picks apart an opportunity where Husso makes a mistake with the puck with a weird bounce off the boards, making it 2-1. And Derek, you were talking about that goal right before we started recording. So what did you think about that goal? Because I really don't know what to make of that goal. Was it technically Husso's fault? Not really. It kind of took a weird bounce off the boards, but it looked like he had the opportunity to play it better than what he did. And it gives me flashbacks from, I think it was earlier this season or it was the last season where he kind of almost did the exact same thing.
I mean, the worst part is watching that after watching the game yesterday. We literally lost both these games to dumb little mistakes that shouldn't have happened. The one goal that puts the lead on, and you'll watch it happen, and it's like that just shouldn't have happened. Husso shouldn't have missed that. Pretty sure, what was it? Comfort shouldn't have scored on himself. We'll get into that in a minute, but I mean, in all, Husso played pretty well, so I'm not going to bag him too bad on that game. It's 2 goals and almost 40 shots. So,
right.
For one, I'll give him credit's due. One bad play, it may have ruined the whole game for us, but he did very well on the other hand. So,
and that's how hockey works, baby. Alex, it looked like you had something you wanted to spit out there. Go ahead.
Yeah, I find myself constantly needing to come up with excuses for Husso and his goaltending. It's obviously every goalie is going to make a mistake here and there, but with the amount of like weird goals that Husso allows in, it makes you wonder. And it's like watching it on TV and just watching him, like it's like half the time he doesn't even know where the puck is. And it's frustrating, but I said, I find myself constantly needing to come up with excuses for his goaltending. And it's like, dude, like, how did you miss that? Obviously there are going to be weird goals where, it hits the crossbar and like barely goes in and he's looking the other way. I don't know. It's just, I find myself thinking that a lot, pretty frequently.
Yeah. And no, you're exactly right. And going on with that, that's the case with all the goaltenders, right? I would say that Husso definitely has the more composure in the net, right? Where there are times where he looks lost in that, right? Where he can't track the puck as well. I think that's the case with all the goaltenders, Reimer and Lyon. I mean, seeing Lyon last night, there's a couple times where I saw him come really far out of his net, out of position, to try and track the puck down. So, right, we keep on coming back to this where we're making up excuses. We're trying to make things work for some players and some work or not work for others. But it all comes down to, we just want consistency with our players, right? And so Husso needs to find that somehow. Maybe it is the baby issue where he has the newborn and he has to take care of it and he's not getting his sleep. If there's a solution for that, go get a hotel room or go stay with one of your teammates. I don't know what you got to do, but go get some sleep. Yeah. But like Derek said, in that game, with the 2 goals scored, he did end up with a .949 save percentage in that game. So that's really good compared to his overall numbers, right? And so I feel like we haven't seen a game like that from Husso pretty much all season, from what it seems like. And so to continue on with this game, Kane did have an opportunity at an open net, and this one really hurt me because it was a really nice save by Kochetkov. It pretty much was a wide open net. I don't know if you actually got to see that part, Derek or Alex, but it was very, very, very wide open, and it made me very sad. Overall, though, strong performance by Husso. No Larkin, Comfer, Perron, and Klim Kostin really does a number to this team and the depth, and it really does show, like we've said multiple times this episode. Shots, though, that it was a low-scoring game as it was. Good effort overall by the team, though, but just a really boring game, and I felt like I was watching a game back from the early 2000s where goal scoring was basically at its lowest.
Speaking of boring, low-scoring games, Zach, I mean, we do have another one to talk about as well.
Why are you doing this to me? But yeah, like I was going to say, going back to like how I brought up that we thought we were going to be the next Carolina Hurricanes. Here it is, and we're losing to them 2-1, low-scoring game. Go figure. But yeah, as Derek said, the Red Wings did play yesterday against the Philadelphia Flyers, who lost 1-0 and a shutout against a goaltender by the name of Yzerman, who I had never heard of before until we played them yesterday night. And he looked really good. I kind of want to trade for him now. Let's see if he can do that for us. Going into the game, Wings have only won 2 games in Philly since April 4th, 2010.
That was my 12th birthday.
What? Well, maybe they just need to start playing on your birthday, buddy, against the Philadelphia Flyers, and that's how they get the wins, right? Let's just do that from now on. But that's very sad. I wish I didn't say that. That's very sad. Now I'm way more hungover than what I was. Kostin, and actually I don't know if Kostin returned, so if someone can let me know, that would be great. Comfort did at least return. Okay, sweet. So both Kostin and Comfort returned to the lineup. Thank Christ. I actually did put that in my notes. Lyon starts in net. Also, thank Christ. Lyon gets injured in the second, and I'll eventually get down to that. But Philly scores early off of a Comfort deflection, like Derek said. The puck goes right into the net. Lyon really had no chance at saving that, to be honest. It is what it is. It's just one of those situations where Comfort was in the right spot. I just think he kind of tilted his stick the wrong way and the puck went into his net. It was just, oh my goodness. And only in Red Wings land, right? Like that's just how it goes now, right? And situations like that happen all the time, unfortunately, but that's when the Red Wings need to come out and be like, all right, let's get 2. Right back. Nope. After that, Lion gets injured in the second period. Not sure how yet or what it might be, and I'm sure we'll get updated of that today. It is upper body currently. That's what Lalonde said after the game. Husso came in to replace him and looked amazing, honestly. He didn't let anything in. Exactly not sure. It's going to take a while for me to load here because my internet sucks once again, but once I have that pulled up, yeah, he looked really good. I was very impressed by the way Husso looked, and that's going back to even the last game where he actually started in, right? And so he's been putting up some really good numbers. Oh, here we go. 26 saves. No, that's the Flyers goalie. My bad. Nope, we weren't that good. Okay, here we go. Husso made 14 saves out of the 14 shots. 18? I don't know. This says... Oh, that was even strength. Oh my goodness, NHL. Why are you confusing me here? 18 shots, 18 saves, 1.0 save percentage, 30 minutes on the ice. Congratulations, Husso. That definitely bumps up your numbers a little bit. So that was great. Husso would be pulled on and off with 3 minutes left, but the Wings couldn't bury the puck in the net. And the last 3 minutes of the game is when they looked the most alive. Other than that, the Lions played piss poor hockey throughout the whole entire game, in my personal opinion. Way too much passing, way too much inconsistency, and even with the passing was horrible. You had a lot of players trying to do the drop back pass, no look passing. It was just garbage playing hockey. What are you guys doing out there? Rifle the puck when you get into the slot, Lucas Raymond. I can't tell you how many times I screamed on my TV saying that last night. Refs definitely turned a blind eye on some cross checks and some roughings out there, but no excuses. It's hockey. There really isn't much else that came from this game, to be honest. The team looked lost and their passing was off tremendously. Not having Larkin, Perron, and a slightly stale Comfort being out there after a few games is really hurting this team. And it has. Like we said, they're 1-6 in their last 6 games, basically. And I already asked that question, so I won't ask it again, but overall thoughts about this game, or I guess just the overall last 2 games. What is going on with the Red Wings? Is it just not having Larkin and Perron and having a stale Comfort that's not allowing them to score as much? What is it, boys? Let's go into detail a little bit.
There was absolutely zero pressure, especially in the third. You could tell that the boys were totally gassed. They were playing super passively. I don't know why. I mean, like you have 3 minutes left, empty net. That should be the time that you're putting in 110% because you know that, unless you score, you're going home. So it's like, they just seemed like bored. I don't know. That was a weird game last night. A very off game for the Wings.
Yeah, it was a very off game. What did you think about it, Derek?
Jump back to the Carolina game. I mean, that one, I wasn't really upset with how they played. It's just unfortunate the goalies played the way they did that night, and unfortunate our goalie made one mistake. So, it's Carolina, not known for getting a bunch of goals scored on them, minus the fact that Rantanen had that 8-goal game against him with the now worst possible NHL record in one game. Impressive. Good job. He's on waivers if anyone needs him.
He did get waived. Yes, I was going to say that, Derek. If you did not, good call out.
But, that game's that game. But that Philly game, God, I watched part of the game yesterday, pretty much the ending, rough. And after I realized how the beginning of the game started, I was very upset getting up this morning to watch the rest of it. Because I could have went back to bed. It was the most boring game I've ever watched the Red Wings play all year so far against a team that we most likely probably should annihilate. Obviously, key components out. But they shouldn't be affecting our team as badly as it is right now, especially with who we have surrounding that player. It's like, where's DeBrincat? Where's Kane? Where's Raymond? I'm like, we still got some pretty decent players that have been producing or should be producing, not doing anything. So, in total, just boring hockey. Nothing really exciting happened. One of those things where I was like, one tipped-in goal by our Red Wings. Does Comper go negative or stay even for that one because he scored it? I don't know. That was literally the only thing that happened that was somewhat exciting, and that happened 6 minutes or something into the first period.
Yeah.
Not the hockey I want to watch, but, it was a hockey game, so I watched it.
Yeah, without that Comfort deflection, and that's not Comfort's fault. That's not Lions' fault. That's really not anyone's fault. Sometimes that's just how the puck goes in. That's hockey for you, baby. Yeah, had that not gone in, though, the Red Wings would have gone into overtime, right? And so I don't know if the Red Wings could have converted even into overtime. The Red Wings certainly have not really looked the greatest in overtime this season. So Philadelphia looks like that they could be somewhat the real deal this season, which is surprising because they looked bad last year and they were able to draft him Matvei Michkov because of it. And so I don't know what they did this season, what John Tortorella has them drinking in their Gatorade, water, whatever it is, but they outplayed us the whole entire game personally. that was the most frustrating game that I've watched the Red Wings play this whole entire season. I'm sure it was just as frustrating for them as it was for me watching it. And so, to me personally, I think the lack of depth still is hurting this team. Comfort being stale. You don't have Larkin. That's your 1 and 2 centerman right there. You have Czarnik still playing the 4C. I just don't think it's quite there, honestly. And so that's part of the reason why I think that the team isn't scoring right now. Hopefully, once we get Perron, Larkin, and Confer's finally up to speed again, this team's going to start scoring more. But holy hell, do I feel bad for Patrick Kane. I'm sure when he signed that contract, he had no idea both Larkin and Confer were going to be missing quite a bit of time, like 5 to 6 games, right? And so I feel bad for Kane. But for those that are coming out and saying Red Wings are 1 and 5 in the Kane era, it's Kane's fault, he's a distraction, you're wrong. It's not his fault. Absolutely not. He brings more added value to this team than what we had on it previous. It is just a very unfortunate circumstance of the signing at the time and then everything that came along with it. And so I blame the Ottawa Senators for it. Shouldn't have hit Larkin. Perron wouldn't have cross-checked Zub in the face. And we probably wouldn't be talking about this today. And so, yeah, just overall a very super frustrating game, boys. So hopefully it changes with Larkin coming back hopefully on Monday, which is said to happen. We'll just have to wait and see. I believe Monday will be the 6th game for Perron. So after that, he should be able to come back. And so the Red Wings will finally be back into tiptoe shape. And we'll just have to wait and see until the next episode to make up for whatever we just lost, right? I mean, we have to see, if Larkin being out and Perron and stale Comfer was the reason why this team wasn't doing as well. If that's not the case, then we really have to take a deeper look into this team and see what it is that the Red Wings need to upgrade. And we keep on going back to goaltending and defense. Yes, I just created a brand new position, and that's the Shohei Ohtani of hockey.
Can we get that on our team? We could probably use it at this point.
All right, so boys, I think we're good. We've recorded enough today, and so let's just go into the upcoming games. Alex, you said this first. Monday against the Anaheim Ducks at home. That will be at 7 p.m. at home at Little Caesars Arena. And then on Wednesday against the Winnipeg Jets in Winnipeg. Because of that, we won't be recording until Thursday this week, and so that episode more than likely won't come out until Friday. So be on the lookout for that. We will go in depth about those 2 games. And so I think we're good, boys. Let's go ahead and go into our final thoughts. Alex, take it away, buddy.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Lots of final thoughts. Lots.
Yeah, there's lots, but I'm just going to sum it up. Our defense needs help. Our goaltending is at a complete crossroads. We need to figure something out because we're going to continue to lose games the way that we're losing them if our goaltending does not change, does not get fixed. With what's going on with the Wings, like Zack, like you said, it's not Patrick Kane's fault. He's coming into a team that was super, super hot, inconsistent, but hot. And now, we're starting to cool down because of the defense. So it's not Patrick Kane's fault. He's still playing really good hockey. I know he loves to be here, so that just warms my heart. But yeah, some things need to change. I'm excited for the boys to get healthy again. And start playing some better hockey and hockey that's more fun to watch.
Final thoughts, Derek.
Final thoughts. 5 out of 6 losses kind of hurts my soul a little bit right now, but let's go Red Wings. We'll get our team back. Hopefully something here happens. Hopefully it's just like a magical switch that, boom, got our team fully healthy again. We're good again, and that's all we got to worry about. Obviously, there's probably a few key components that we'll have to get into. We'll hit those crossroads, as Alex put it, when they come. Yeah, let's go Red Wings. Hopefully these next few games we just get a few dubs, help our little confidence boost. We'll see what happens with Johnny Burgers, because now I'm interested to see what we actually could get.
Good final thoughts, boys. Yeah, my final thoughts are let's go Red Wings, as always. I'm going to give the Red Wings, it's 2 weeks until December 31st, the new year, right? And so I'm going to give them until then to kind of recap how the first half of the season has gone. Hopefully, Yzerman has some sort of idea where the Wings will be come trade deadline, or maybe a little bit before then, and maybe he sees still that there's an opportunity for us to make that push. And so I hope that that's his motive to then go out and make another trade to upgrade, whether that's the defense or the goaltending. I think it's goaltending first. You have players like Simon Edmondson who can't even crack the lineup. So why are we going out and trading for more defensemen? And I'm sure no one wants Jeff Petrie from us or Ben Trott. Maybe Olli Mata. Who knows? Justin Hall really doesn't even get to play that much either. He's on and off almost every single night. And so I just really don't see any more room for another defenseman in here. And so goaltending is the next best option. I'd love to see a trade happen. Yzerman, start cooking, please, as Alex would phrase it. Let's get it in there. Get in the kitchen. Whip it up. Gordon Ramsay, Bobby Fillet, whoever. I really don't care. Just make it happen, all right? And so with that, those are my final thoughts. And until then, we appreciate y'all for stopping by. If you haven't already, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, rate us 5 stars on Spotify, follow us on there. But we'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye, y'all.